Imagine for a moment that you are in this photo. Imagine seeing your ship not where it belongs in open water, but instead trapped in Antarctic ice. Imagine looking around and being able to see nothing but ice, stretching to the horizon in all directions. By imagining, you're standing in the shoes of Sir Ernest Shackleton, the leader of this ship. This is a disaster. You're trapped in one of the most barren, inhospitable, and remote places on Earth. For most ordinary people, losing a ship in these conditions would certainly ensure the end of adventure, and more importantly, the end of your life. Not for Shackleton. Instead, this image is the start of one of the most extraordinary stories of human survival. Over the next few minutes, I will try and explain Shackleton's story in 5 photos. Too often we engage with history through the written word, in books and articles. However, I believe that historical events can't fully be explained by words on a page. Photographs are powerful. They force you to confront the reality of history. They compel empathy, and they drive you to place yourself in the shoes of others. So, we have 4 photographs left to go. Who was Shackleton? Shackleton's life on land is best described as a series of disasters. He tried to win a seat in Parliament and failed. He tried to start a tobacco company and failed. He tried to hold a healthy marriage and failed. However, on sea, he was an extremely able leader, earning a knighthood for his work. Shackleton came from a period of history we call the heroic age of Antarctic exploration. This is between 1900 and World War I, where there was great resurgence of interest in Antarctica. Individual explorers like Shackleton would lead a team of men into the ice in the search for a single objective. The most obvious one would be the first person to reach the South Pole. But in 1911, this was already reached. So Shackleton proposed something greater. He proposed a full crossing of Antarctica, coast to coast. So how did this man end up with the view of the previous picture? How did he find himself shipwrecked in the ice? Initially, the expedition went to plan. The 28 men, 69 dogs, and 1 cat left South Georgia Island on December 5th, 1914. However, their luck soon soured. Just 2 days after disembarking, the crew met pack ice. This is where the wind and the waves squeezed the ice together to form a single, impenetrable mass. The ship had no choice but to try and ram through the pack, but later found itself immobilized in the ice. These men were trapped. All they could do was wait and hope that the ice would later free them. They camped for 9 months, playing football, hunting penguins, and putting on plays to pass the time. However, their hopes soon turned to horror when the pressure became too great for the ice to bear. These men had to watch as their ship sank beneath the waves. Their last link to civilization was crushed. What would you do in this situation? Panic? Fear? Despair? Well, under Shackleton's leadership, these men stayed calm and plotted their escape from the ice. This photo shows the men dragging lifeboats they salvaged from the ship to the sea. It was exhausting work. It's important to note here that the ice they're standing on is not flat. Instead, the pressure forces it into ridges, meaning these men had to constantly haul these boats uphill and downhill. Conditions later improved, but this also meant the snow was softer, leaving the men sinking to their knees. They reached the sea and they set sail for 5 days to a deserted strip of land known as Elephant Island. This was the first time they had touched land in 497 days, and they also made history as the first people to ever set foot there. This photo shows the crew completely drained from their struggle to the island. You might notice in this photo, there's no Shackleton. This is because he had devised a rescue plan. He realised that they stood no chance to reach civilization as a single team. What they had to do was send off a smaller search party to fetch help. Shackleton personally volunteered for this journey, putting himself in harm's way for the benefit of his crew. This journey was extremely perilous. There was one particular incident where Shackleton thought the weather on the horizon was clearing, but what he mistook for white clouds against the blue sky was actually the giant white crest of an enormous wave. It nearly crushed the boat. But after 17 days at sea on tiny boats, he'd reached South Georgia Island. But his mission was far from over. He had reached the uninhabited southern side, not the populated northern side. His only option was to attempt to trek to cross this island, a feat never attempted before. What equipment did he have for this trek? Well, he took nails, hammered them in his boots, and had 50 meters of rope. These men trekked for 36 hours with virtually no sleep or rest. When they met dense fog on the mountains, they did not have the luxury of time to carefully climb down. Instead, they slid, without being able to see if it was a smooth slope or sheer drop in front of them. After a day and a half, they made it. They reached civilization, and they reached safety. "634 days after first departing from South Georgia Island, the fog cleared on Elephant Island, and the crew could finally see Shackleton's rescue boat. After 3 months of rescue attempts, Shackleton had finally reunited with his crew. It was a miracle that not a single life was lost during this harrowing time. This tale demonstrates the toughness and the resilience of the human spirit. So, why is Shackleton's story so important? Well, for me, history is context. It can help put life into perspective. I sometimes find myself complaining about homework, or hay fever, or the weather being too cold. But when I compare myself to Shackleton, suddenly these problems seem trivial. So the next time you complain about not getting a straw in your coffee, or you complain about doing the dishwasher, or you don't push yourself to be the best you can be, put yourself in Shackleton's shoes. He inspires, he motivates, and he drives me to do not only the big and important things, but the menial and necessary ones too. So if you're ever struggling, or you feel like you're giving up, ask yourself, what would Shackleton do? Thank you.